we are advertising. I'm going to bring Vera in and I'm going to tell you what it's all about. It is going to be on in Nevada on August 26th at 5 p.m. And here she is to tell us more. Hi, Vera. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Shai, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Please tell us what this is and about a true beginning, please.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm completely honored to have this platform for formerly incarcerated individuals and family of formerly incarcerated individuals. My name is Vera Moore, and I'm the director and founder of True Beginnings. And what we do is we assist women with overcoming the barriers that prevent them from reclaiming a rightful place in American society. What that looks like is housing from a gender and trauma informed or responsive perspective. So we address trauma first, and we do it with programming that's specific for women or specific for men or specific for youth, as opposed to putting everyone into one box, right? I know, mind blown, right?
Literally, I mean, because, and again, on Pure Prison, trauma is such a big thing that we talk about here. If you don't deal with the trauma, people, you can't ever heal.
Absolutely. Trauma is the root. Trauma is the root for incarceration, homelessness, domestic violence, substance abuse, all of that. Trauma is the absolute root cause. And if you address that, then you give the tools that's going to give you the ability to overcome anything, because you'll recognize those triggers. And so much in society right now, we are just addressing things from a Band-Aid approach. Okay, so they have a substance abuse issue. Let's put a Band-Aid on that. We'll get them to NA. We'll give them some tools to address their behaviors. But no one's talking about that quiet voice, that pain that we are always trying to subside or try to get, to quiet down so that we can live a regular, rich, full life. No one's ever talking about that. And then when you're homeless, people will treat the homeless by saying, okay, well, here's housing. But then when you get in the housing and you're still hearing those voices, you're still dealing with those issues, you just want to run from them. So you have to treat trauma. And then becoming incarcerated, that's just more trauma perpetuated on top, right? So our thing is to end violence against women and their families. We do not negate the men. We definitely want to work with families as a whole. The reason for that is we can't build society if we separate, and we've been doing too much of that, right?
So much. And not only, I mean, in every aspect of our lives right now, there's so much separation. We can't stand close. There's the race issue going.
Yes.
Man, I'm so...
Yes. And that's where we are, is we want to advocate for camaraderie, for unity within our community, with people standing together and doing what's right, and holding people that are uplifting these systemic, perpetuating things accountable, because the system is what's failed us. And that's why True Beginnings does not take any federal or state or county money, because if the government was doing it correctly, then we would be healed by now. We don't want to fall under any of those red lines, none of that tape. We really know what services us, what helps us, and then we allow the people that we service to build their own guidelines as we give them the tools that's going to help them build and be great, so that they can build traditions within their own families and their own community that's going to sustain them for the duration, right? Which is so amazing about why we are having this event coming up on the 26th. It is called What Incarcerated Women Need. And if you don't know, I'm sure being on this podcast, you have heard that women being incarcerated has risen by 700% in the last 12 to 14 years, and therefore very petty crimes. But this is by design. You feel, if what happens is they first take the man out of the household, right, by separating you for getting government assistance, and they put the men behind bars. And then that's not working because women continuously climb. We are fighters. We're survivors. We keep taking care of our children. So they put the women behind bars thinking, okay, well, the way to keep this workforce growing, and I'm going to just put it out there for involuntary slavery, right? The way to keep that going is to attack the kids. So you have to remove the mom, you have to remove the dad, and now you have this great system of these kids that are vulnerable, and you can train them from birth to be what you need them to be. So what we are going to do is we are going to hold the officials accountable on August 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a virtual event. Please join us. Please join the discussion. We are bringing to the forefront that, yes, prisons are offering programming such as college behind bars, but what else are they doing? You cannot just give someone an education and then shoo them out on the street. You still have to treat them for trauma. You still have to get them professional development. You still have to get them job training and workforce development. You have to, because what will happen is you'll just have a smart ass criminal on your hands. Excuse my language, right?
Say it one more time.
Absolutely. You will have just a smart ass criminal on your hands, but they will not be a productive citizen so much because we still face the trauma of rejection, neglect, right? Harmful things that make you feel like, you know what? I'm not worthy of a career. I'm not qualified to have a real good paying job that with sustainable wages. I'm not valuable to raise my children. I just need to keep getting high and I'll just stay over here in my lane because the world doesn't even see me and I'm invisible. And this pain is so great that no matter how many books that I read, no matter how many papers that I write, I literally cannot get away from the pain and the guilt and the shame that is within me. I have to find an outlet. And sometimes reading does it because it gives you this ability to imagine yourself elsewhere. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you the tools that you need to deal with it. Me, on a very personal level, Shy, I came from a great background. My mother was a police officer, and I still went to prison. I still was on drugs. I was still homeless. I had an amazing background with my mom and my grandmother and my whole family. And even though my mother had her own trials and tribulations, I was running from losing my dad since I was 9 years old. He was killed. And that trauma on itself, coupled with all the other traumas that you go through life, and I don't even attempt to say that my traumas are greater than or less than anyone else's. I just know that there was this trauma, this pain, this void that was in me, and I didn't want to feel it anymore. And I used drugs to mask that because I didn't know how to express it. And then when I did express it, people told me that I was being over dramatic.
Yes.
Or they were saying, get over it. It's like something that happened way back when. And I couldn't. It pestered me. It festered inside of me and it built this hole. And I just kept trying to fill it with something and nothing ever worked. So I just masked it. And I had a whole career. I became a real estate agent in the whole 9 yards. And then one day I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't want to be out on the street selling my body for money, for pennies, only to turn around and sell my body again for pennies and just to get high. And that high didn't last very long. I didn't want to be sleeping in the park pregnant anymore. I did not want to be beat up by my husband anymore. I literally wanted something better. And the purpose for that was I wanted my kids to have something better.
Yes.
I didn't want them to feel like I was feeling on the inside. So I got myself some help. I begged that judge, please don't send me back to prison, please. And he gave me a program. And what I realized inside of that program was these were the tools that I needed to have when I went to prison the very first time.
Can I ask you a question? What kind of program? Was it a cognitive behavioral therapy?
Of course it was.
Did it change your life?
It did change my life. But you know what? It also made me this really thug-like woman, right? Because in those cognitive behaviors, you're just like, oh, suck it up. You can do this. You don't have to do that. I was very aggressive. I was calling people out on their stuff all the time.
It's empowering.
Yeah, it is. It was empowering for me because I operated as a victim for so long, right? And now I don't want to be a victim anymore. So now I've had to have this balance. And so now I've changed my behaviors. I recognize when my behaviors are going back, when I am regressing and that sort of thing. But I don't have to tell everybody else that that their behaviors suck in such a way that could be harmful, that can send them backwards, or send them, to relapse. And that was the one thing that did happen when I was in my program. And I went to Newbridge in Berkeley, California. And I'll never forget that I was on this one young lady so bad that after we graduated, a month and a half later, we found her in a hotel room overdosed. And that changed my life. Like, that changed the way that I wanted to speak to people. Like, I felt like I could get my voice out there, but I didn't have to ruin someone else's in the process. And so I have attached myself to services for women because I want to give women what nobody had afforded me, which was a sound voice, a support network, love and nurturing, the way that we need it in order to grow. And so when we have our event on August 26th, what we're going to do is we're going to bring people to the table to discuss what it looks like, what education should look like behind bars, that we are really honestly educating everyone on themselves, on the world, as well as getting them a higher education, or getting them a degree. And that's the only way we're going to change the world. And with women being in prison right now, we better do it quick. And we better hold these officials accountable that they do what they say they're going to do and stop exploiting women, because we are coming home and we are going to be raising our kids. And what you need to know, what the world needs to know, is that some of us are coming home with a vengeance. And when we raise our kids, it's better for us to raise our kids and not be thugs or tyrants in the community, but to raise our kids to be vigilant. And there's a difference. So
there is a difference. Big difference. And vigilance, we owe that to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
We owe it to ourselves.
Join us August 26th so we can talk about how women need trauma treatment. They need professional development. They need a higher education. They need a support network. And especially if they're going to be in prison, they need officials to be holding themselves accountable to stop the perpetuation of violence behind bars, where they are raping these women, treating them like crap, and then throwing them around like it's a horrible situation. And I know they're going to say, oh, all COs aren't like that. Like, all cops aren't bad cops. But I'm going to tell you, the ones that do come home with the trauma, if they've experienced it directly or indirectly, it shows up in their life.
Yes, it does.
It makes for the problems that we have in our community. So if we want to talk about public safety, let's talk about the demographic that needs to be saved. We save them and we'll save our community.
I'm ready. Right. We're in. I will be there. I actually was unaware that this was going to be a virtual screening. I honestly thought that it was going to be there because this was kind of last minute. Yes. I'm so thrilled. On August 26th at 5 p.m., be there. There's going to be the virtual
Eastern time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. That means it's 2 p.m. California, Nevada, that sort of thing. And it's 5 p.m. New York, Virginia, that sort of thing. Okay.
That's right. So
5 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern time, because I messed up with that all the time. I know y'all out there do too. That's why she said it. We're not alone.
Right. We're not.
Vera, it has been a pleasure. I think that you and I are going to be working together in the future. I have a lot of things to ask you and talk to you about. I believe that's why Priscilla set us up together. Okay. I love her. I will be there. Everybody join us. I will be putting up all of the information in the links, and I will be posting this right away.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so very much.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Vera.
All right, Shai, you have a good one, okay?
You too.
All right, on to more work.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, you guys, that was Vera Moore, and she is with a truebeginning.org. The event takes place August 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please click the link below or visit her website. Again, that is www.atruebeginning.org. Hope to see you there.